All right, what I want to go through relatively quick, there's going to be two versions of this. One is for a person that's just looking to get in, and two, this is specifically for four different clients that's been asking me the same thing. How do I injury proof myself, or how do I get myself healing faster from an injury? Client has a torn quad, one client has a torn flexor, groin, another one has a hurt hip, and my lovely wife that hurt her back again. And the reason why all these are important because these are common things that we add up and we say we're getting old or this is traumatic. I don't know why it's happened or it's chronic and it's something that always ails me. This is just who I am. These four things that's on this image here, I want you to really focus on. This all predates you going to the workout, you going to the PT or adding to the PT, you going to someone to help you with an ailment. If you don't have these four things dialed in, those you'll get lackluster results because this is all internal from who you are. And this is all free. This is all things you can do on yourself. So if you want to injury proof yourself, listen to these four things. One, where is your internal focus? Two, how well are you doing your soft tissue work? Three, how well are you doing your activation work? Four, what are you truly aware of? If you don't have those four things dialed in, you will continue hurting yourself. That is just point blank. Now, what is internal focus? Internal focus is how is your body taking in the food that you're putting in? So you have to now be aware of the anti-inflammatory foods that you're putting in. How hydrated are you? And the third one that a lot of people don't really think about, if ever, is how well are you eliminating? How well are you getting the toxins out your body? Now, when people hear me say that, they think about poop. It's not about poop. It's not just about poop. It has everything to do with what is your belief system? What is your thought process about? Your fears on the issue. Are you going to consistently hold it tight, holding it close, not allowing it to do what it needs to do because you're unaware of what's happening, which we're going to get into a little bit later. But what is the fears that you have of this area? This always happens. I am broken. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm too old. This comes with working out. It doesn't have to be any of those things. If you follow all these things, you will become injury proof. Number two, soft tissue work. A lot of people kick this to the side of the road, or they don't give enough time to this because they don't think it's worthy of it because it's very simple, very easy. But I will tell you this, if you have a muscular issue, I guarantee you three things might be going wrong. One, it doesn't move very well, the muscle tissue itself. Two, it doesn't contract. Three, it does not communicate itself. What I tell people to do is you want to think about soft tissue work as your fascial system moving. So this is where you do the myofascial stretching, myofascial release, soft tissue work in the aspect of foam rolling in that way. Two, contracting. You want to think that as trigger point work, getting that trigger point work in. And I have courses on all these things, or you can just look it online. It's very, very simple to do. Find the trigger points for these areas. The whole purpose of trigger point work is not to push, hold, and scream bloody murder because it is a high speaker. It does speak loudly. It's more about, can you get the muscle tissue to contract? And then when you let go, does it let go? That's all it is. It's not about finding the biggest, hardest thing to make you scream. It's about getting it to contract and then letting go. And then communication. How well is the muscle communicating? That's stretching. I see a common mistake that people stretch, and they think it's always going to fix everything. But it's not the case because if you stretch an area that does not have all these other components in, you're going to be met with resistance. The easiest one that people confuse is when they're doing a QL stretch, which is the muscle that's right alongside the back, protects your back, and they reach over to the side. If your body is not stable in its hip, which most people are not, the body's going to protect itself, and now you're fighting something. You're thinking you're stretching something by getting it to elongate, but all you're doing is being met with resistance. But if you stabilize that hip, you become the slingshot. You become something stable, and then that muscle is able to open and close. And that's why failing alone messes up everything or doesn't fix everything for long term. You might feel better, but it doesn't work for long term because it doesn't contract very well and it's not hydrated and the fascial system is not able to open. Make sense? Internal focus, soft tissue. Third one, highly missed or misunderstood is activation of a muscle, which comes down to three things. Does that muscle tissue turn on? Does that muscle tissue act as it's supposed to? As well as conditioned. Is it conditioned to stay on while you're moving? The easiest one that I teach everyone about is the health of your glutes. Now, everyone will touch their big ham and say, my butt is turned on. But if you laid down on the floor and you try to turn on your upper part of your glutes, you'll realize your left glute doesn't work as well as your right, or vice versa. Bear with me on that because that has a lot of stipulations, but one of them not going to work. As well as when you do the hip flexor stretch. The hip flexor stretch that everyone's going to is putting their foot up against the wall or on a couch, leaning forward and getting a big, deep hip flexor stretch. But if the glute is not firing on, you are now conditioning the body to open up and not have the glute fire, which means your low back has to protect itself while the hip is starting to open, which causes more back issues. That is a common thing that needs to happen. Hip flexors are a common thing, emotional and a deep conditioning of the body that is not really understood or worked with care. They just try to rip it open because they know it's supposed to be open, but it's a very big stability muscle. It needs to have energy and stability, completely different things. Now, the last one a lot of people are not aware of or not working well with is their awareness. They're just bullying through what their body is because we're more mental. We need science where everything needs to be in this certain place rather than realize your body is speaking to you all the time. So the questions that you have to ask yourself is why? What is your why behind cleaning up this issue, right? Like if you're a person that needs to finish an event, or you're a person that's trying to live as long as you possibly can because you want to be there to pick up and play with your kids and actually be active as you age because you want the best life for yourself. That's a different reason to do and heal rather than saying this is just what is. Like, why are you now dealing with this issue and wanting it to get better? And then number two is, how much do you trust your ability to heal based off of experience? Not like this is all mindset, say I could heal, I could heal. It's like, based off my experience, I am not good at this. I have to work on this, which means you have to slow down and understand your body's going to be a little bit more resistant to doing the riskier thing. So you have to now stabilize yourself. Start to bring that ability down to make small incremental changes to prove to yourself that you do heal, you can heal. The easiest one is when you get a paper cut, you never think about messing with it. You just put some ointment in it, set it and forget it, and that's it. That's trust and healing for something that you can see. And this is the science kicking in, right? You need to see it, prove it, so on and so forth. But as soon as something is internal, you start poking at it, prodding at it because you lose the faith that your body knows what it's doing. You have to rebuild that faith back up. And then the 3 and 4 are very important because when you're going through your actions, a lot of people don't realize that they're bearing down on themselves, embracing themselves for impact, rather than going through a movement that they feel safe in. So are you aware that you're bracing something over moving something? The easiest one example that I tell is when people try to turn on their car, when I ask them, are you using their car? I see them bear down on themselves. Their belly button will pop out, or they'll bear down like they're trying to poop out something while they're doing a crunch, while they're doing something, while they're lifting heavy, they're pushing down on themselves, which is not efficient at all, or I would say good or bad. It's more towards not efficient. Let's just put it that way. But what needs to happen is you need to pull up your pelvic floor. Your belly button needs to come in. So when you blow your air out on the move, on the purpose, your belly button comes down, your diaphragm comes down, creating a pressure cooker, which now connects your upper and your lower hemisphere, giving you access to so much more power, right? That's what's supposed to happen. But what is really happening? What are you aware of? And then the last one where it makes you injury proof is, how stressed are you? I see so many people going into workouts, going into things to turn off their mind, but they're never looking at how stressed are they, which then your body's going to be in a highly protective state anyway, which means you're not going to be able to access all the muscle tissues that you need to work with. Your body's naturally going to be holding things in, so it's not going to move very well, which means everything is already on the edge of blowing as is. So I swear to you, like this is all based off the Freedom Mastery experience, and it's based off of teaching the basics that you can do from an internal place to make you better, make you have more, do less, do more with less energy, less time, and you'll be able to do whatever you want because you're injury proof, because you have that internal awareness. If you have any questions on this document right here, just go to my website, patrickoliveris.com. On the bottom right-hand corner is a little bubble. Text your question right there, and I'll answer you or ask a question to understand your situation so you can get it. So hopefully this helped. See you on the next one.